Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Got a story here sent to me by a lot of people from KIRO. Owners of Kia and Hyundai cars that were stolen can get settlement funds, by Debbie Lord. So if you owned a Kia or a Hyundai and it was stolen, and there's a good chance it was, by the way, from you, it was stolen from you, you can get some money. Korean automakers Hyundai and Kia will pay $200 million to settle a class action lawsuit that is filed by owners who had their vehicles stolen during the nationwide rash of car thefts. The New York Times reported on this on Thursday. According to the lawsuit, the car companies sold car models between 2011 and 2022 that did not have immobilizers, which is a feature that prevents the engine from starting unless the key is in or near the car. When it was discovered that the immobilizers were missing, a TikTok trend called Kia Challenge went viral, daring people to steal the cars, and the videos would often show you how to steal the cars. They were that popular and that easy to do. According to the lawsuit, Kia and Hyundai vehicles could be boosted within 90 seconds because of the missing immobilizers. The models affected included the Hyundai Elantra and Sonata, as well as the Kia Forte and the Soul. Lawyers and the automakers said Thursday about 9 million vehicles have been impacted. Now, we're not saying that 9 million were stolen, I don't think, but it says here 9 million vehicles have been impacted. And I think that's simply how many vehicles were vulnerable to this hack. But nothing surprises me. Our goal in finalizing the settlement was to leave no one in the dark, says Steve Berman of the Seattle law firm Hagens Berman in a statement, which of course explained why this is being reported by a TV station out of the Great Northwest. The owners of these cars have experienced enough upset, and we worked to achieve a settlement that covers many types of losses, from those who are lucky enough to have never had their theft-prone car stolen to those whose stolen cars were totaled completely due to negligence. So keep in mind that if your car was not stolen, you did still suffer something for fear your car would be stolen, right? I mean, unless you were living like in a Unabomber-style shack out in the middle of nowhere, you probably heard about this. And if you owned one of these cars, you may have had to take extra steps to keep it from getting stolen. The owners of these cars have experienced enough upset. And I like the fact that the guy uses upset in that manner. According to him, up to $145 million from the settlement funds will be used to reimburse owners who actually had their vehicles stolen or damaged. The settlement still must be approved by a court. Kia has also provided a free security software upgrade and distributed more than 65,000 steering wheel locks, says Kia America's chief legal officer in a statement. And so they're actually handing out those big things you lock on your steering column there in an attempt to keep the car from getting stolen. Under the settlement, any owner whose vehicle isn't compatible with a software update can purchase another anti-theft device, such as a steering wheel lock, and be reimbursed by Kia or Hyundai for up to $300. $300. Hyundai and Kia said in a statement on Thursday they would also reimburse owners for insurance deductibles, increased insurance premiums, and other theft-related losses, the Times reported. What I am curious about is whether the insurance companies have gone after Kia and Hyundai for reimbursement, because I know that there have been examples of defective cars, widespread problems, and I can think of one particular manufacturer back in the early 90s whose vehicles had a bad ignition switch such that if you shut the car off, took the key out, and went inside, the ignition might catch on fire, get the whole vehicle burning, and then take down the building it's parked in, such as a garage, and it might burn down the house. And so a lot of insurance claims got filed with homeowners insurance on that. And later on, the insurance companies went after the manufacturer and said, we just had to pay a whole bunch of claims because of you guys. So it says here that they're going to reimburse the owners for the insurance deductibles. There's an insurance company out there going, yeah, but what about us? What about us? While the manufacturers do operate independently, Hyundai is the parent company of Kia Motors. So that is an interesting point, because obviously if they were independent companies with nothing in common, what are the odds that they both have this weird problem? So, you have to imagine how things have changed. And there are people in my audience my age. I haven't outlived everyone. And there was a time when cars had, for instance, keys in the dash. So the steering column never locked. And so the key going into the dash, depending on what type of car it was and what year it was, you could often simply lean around and look up there and see the other side where the wires are that go to the key. And it's not that hard to figure out how to hot wire a car like that. And I told the story on VinWiki with Ed Bolian about a time that I was traveling with some brothers of mine, and we encountered a vehicle down in a ditch, and it had a key in the dash. And somebody in the group actually goes, I can get this thing running. And about 10 minutes later, we had it running. And that was done with stuff that we either had on us or found at the scene. Didn't take any special tools. It was just the fact that there was a really, really simple ignition device on the dashboard. And so that, of course, we're talking about 1950s, 1960s technology. And I remember towing vehicles as a tow truck driver in 1980, 81, 82. I remember towing vehicles. Occasionally I had to pick up a vehicle that was rear-ended, so I got to tow it from the back on the front wheels. And the front wheels didn't lock because the steering column didn't lock. And so I've got guys in the audience also who drove tow trucks back in the day, and there may have been some women too, so I hate to leave them out. And we'll tell you what the secret to this is. I was wearing a belt that had a belt buckle on it, and it was leather. And so what you do is you straighten the front wheels out, and you put the belt around the wheel, and you pull it through the door, and you slam the door on your belt. And that would actually hold the steering wheel in place as you towed the vehicle 2-3 miles back to the gas station. And I can vividly remember doing that on more than one occasion. So we still encountered the vehicles back then, but there was a time when vehicles were easy to steal. And I can tell you stories, friends of mine or friends of my older brothers who had vehicles stolen, and it's just back in the day that happened. So, of course, they moved the stuff to the steering column. Once it was housed inside the column, number one, it's harder to get at the back side of that without busting off the outside housing of the column, but also it locked the steering column. So simply getting the car to start might not solve your problems because the steering. Now, any security system can be defeated. Just check out the lock-picking lawyer. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it is one of the greatest ideas of all time. This guy shoots videos just of his hands as he picks locks. And after 3 or 4 videos, you'll come away going, why do I bother locking anything? Well, it's because the lock-picking lawyer's on our side. But you realize that almost any system can be defeated, okay? But the fact that they made a car that recently that kids could watch a TikTok video and go, oh, I could do that, and go out and steal a car, that's a very serious problem for the manufacturer. And how that happened, I don't know. And it's in my mind, it's on the same level as the Ford dual clutch transmission, where somebody inside Ford said, we shouldn't put this on the road. It's not ready for prime time yet. And somebody goes, oh, let's just ship them and we'll fix them later. And there are people inside Ford going, we don't think they can be fixed. That's the problem. You shouldn't put them in cars, but they can't be fixed. Turns out the people who said it can't be fixed were right. So I don't know if these things can be fixed in any other way, or you may just have to buy yourself a club and put it on your steering wheel and hope that defeats the next TikTok challenger who comes along and decides he's going to try to steal your car. But the good news is there is a bunch of money being put up by Kia and Hyundai, and it's $200 million. And so if you've had this happen to you or you own one of these cars, go check out the various, trust me, you can Google this stuff, you can find it. But a $200 million class action settlement, and it appears of different classes of people within it. So if your car was stolen, obviously, you're part of the class. But if you simply own one of the cars and nothing bad ever happened to you, I think you might be able to get something here. Because if nothing else, you can get the free security device, whichever one that they'll either give you or that you can pay for out of your own money and get the money back. So there you go. Widely reported, KIRO and the New York Times. This story written by Debbie Lord. Owners of Kia and Hyundai cars that were stolen can get settlement funds. And I'm so proud of myself. I got through the entire thing saying Hyundai instead of Hyundai. Because Hyundai is how it looks, but I guess it's Hyundai. And whenever I say Hyundai, people criticize me, except in this context where I'm pointing it out. I should be okay, right? Questions or comments, put them below those. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Better to have a single sentence manifesto about your life which is fulfilled than to have 25 chapters theories about your vision that remain undone.